The following is a preview of Seeds of Rebellion, Giddean Danu's Tale, by Albert S. Kleppen, soon to be featured in Tales from the Galaxies Opera House. In long, swift strides, Danu glided down the curving hallway that surrounded the Senate chambers. The second the session adjourned, he made a quick exit, hoping to avoid the usual invasions of privacy from press droids and activists granted access to the halls. The obnoxious grandstanding that the Grand Senator had just subjected him to wasn't new. That sort of exaltation of Palpatine was commonplace among loyalists. The frustrating thing was the seemingly rapid devolution of discourse in recent months. Danu's words outlined the same sort of stance he had taken a dozen times in front of the Senate, but each time the backlash became stronger. His contemplative nature and current consternations rendered him unobservant of his surroundings as a hand suddenly clasped his shoulder from behind. Defensively, he turned in an aggressive twist, shocked at the face he saw. "Senator Organa," was all Danu managed to get out. Organa was an esteemed senator, many years Danu's senior. Organa was tall like Danu. If the two senators were one's first exposure to humanity, one might assume all humans stood 2 meters tall, with the broad shoulders of ancient Hapan statues. Bail Organa of Alderaan smiled kindly. "Senator Danu, I'm sorry to surprise you like this. I didn't want to shout to get your attention." Danu, allowing puzzlement to show across his face, let his defenses down. "Of all the senators to stop me in the halls after my address today, I must say I'm surprised to see you. I would have thought you would be on my side about this matter." Organa lifted his hands up as a gesture of peace. "Please, I am on your side about this. I haven't stopped you in order to quarrel. We don't always see eye to eye on every minutiae of policy, but I want to thank you for speaking out against—" He paused, as though adjusting his thoughts to be expressed diplomatically. "Well, in defense of the Constitution." Giddean Danu tried to read the verbal subtext from Organa, but dared not interpret his words. The two had not interacted over the course of the war more than a few times, and never so candidly. The way virtually everybody on the constitutionalist side of galactic politics spoke of Organa implied that he was indeed a man of integrity and of good moral character, and for all Giddean could tell, the senator from Alderaan was sincere. Withdrawing his defenses, Danu replied, "We agree that in order for the citizens of the Republic to thrive, the Constitution must be preserved, at this point restored. But I confess I have little faith the Chancellor relinquishes his emergency powers, even if this war ends." Bail looked concerned, hesitated a moment, but began, "At the beginning of the war, I may not have shared your concern, but with recent events—" He paused for another moment. "Recent events?" Danu inquired intently. Bail gave him a look, backing closer to a wall and out of earshot of the legion of passers-by as they milled about noisily in the long, curved hall, attending to their duties as aides, press, and activists. Recently, some of the Loyalist Committee, myself included, had scheduled a meeting with the Chancellor's office weeks in advance, and when we arrived for the meeting, we were kept waiting for hours by that snake Pestige, only to be told that Chancellor Palpatine was unavailable. When we finally were granted an audience with him, our request to repeal recent amendments fell on deaf ears." Giddean Danu leaned in, his expression unmoving. "Please continue." "We saw it a few moments ago, you and I. Reasoned discourse has become practically extinct over the last several months, and every time the Constitution is referenced, the Senate seems to flinch a little more." Bail locked eyes with Danu. "These flaws in the politics of our republic do not avail to ascend to Supreme Chancellor Palpatine." There was conviction in Organa's voice, his tone firm and sincere, though not venomous. Danu nodded slowly, expecting more. "On that we agree, Bail. So, what is your proposition?"